Cook has been cooking for quite some time. It's a meal that has been served and served and reserved. And now that he's being cut, it is getting served and microwaved again. I don't know if we're going to get him or not. Maybe. But, guys, Cook is a very good running back. But you have to understand, putting Cook on this team, it's going to take a contract. You're bringing him in with people. And you got to ask yourself, the investment in Cook on the field, in practice, and in money, is it worth it? Is it really going to make that big a difference? So today, I want to show you Cook, what he's done through his career, and how that relates to what Mostert's done, and the offensive lines of both teams to show you, and postseason performance to show you, what is Cook really going to bring to this team? And it's not to say I don't like Cook. I do. I did a podcast and I said, this guy is real good. He's just not Hall of Fame. And then some clown came and said, you better stay in your lane. You don't know running backs. You know, I don't get angry too much. You know, I try not to get perturbed, but I wanted to go through the screen and just, you know, Hall of Fame is Peyton, Barry, and Tomlinson, Dickerson, and Brown, and Emmett. I mean, these guys are way better than Cook. And I'm going to show you, Cook was a good player for 2 seasons. One season was exceptional. You give 3, 4 of those seasons, maybe 5, and we have a different story. So he's a very good player. I enjoy watching him. I was a former running back. I love the position. There's some things he does which makes him a cut above these other guys, but he's not Hall of Fame. And when you marry that with this offensive line, which I'll show you, what are we really going to get if we bring him in here? I'd be very happy for him to be here, but remember, bringing him in here is going to compromise the future. There's no way he's coming in for, $5 million for 1 year. No, he's not. He's just not. All the teams will offer him that. He's 27. So we got shots fired by Sealer, Hunt, and Connor, most notably, to say, hey, 24, it's going to be hard to keep things together. And 23 is absolutely our peak talent year. It's critical. And 24 is going to be very critical. We have to have real success over these 2 seasons because 25 is probably going to be a major step down and rebuild, which is fine if we have real success in 23 and 24. And what I want to go through today, as well as tying that into the Connor holdout, to show you the situation, the real situation, not trying to milk you with hopium to, clicks or whatever. Because I'm not saying anybody's doing that, but it's very easy to deal in hopium and to get amped up, to keep people, the viewers, the fans. I mean, how many big click events have we had over the years that pan out to be nothing? To me, Cook would boost us this year by a decent amount, not grand, and then it might compromise us in the future. So that's what I want to talk about today. And then last, I'm German, and I got like a type A, OCD personality in certain things. A lot of things I'm totally my Irish side, which is type B, whatever, eating swizzle sticks and sitting back and forgetting what time it is. But there's certain things that I'm like really have my hand on. And doing this thing has been weird. I did it at first. I was like, oh, I'm doing this. What is this? And then it became, I want to do my best. And then it became nervousness. And then I had the ultimate worst moment in live last week. I wanted to try to do something, my German side to fix things. Computer froze 4 minutes before live. Came back on, and I didn't set the thing right, and the audio was off. My wife's cousin called in the beginning of it. I didn't know if I had scheduled the wrong. It was a disaster. But sometimes when you're at the bottom, it's the best place to be because now you know what the bottom feels like, and you kind of relax. And that's where I'm at. So I want to say I'm sorry for the live. It will be better this time. I'm a lot more chilled now that I've had it was like, it couldn't get any, it was like being doused in kerosene, lit on fire, and then a pack of dogs came running up to, do number 1 all over you to put you out. But I kind of needed that because this is a weird gig, and now I'm kind of relaxed. So I want to say, I'm sorry, thank you, and then we'll move on to the show. But first, I want to say thanks for stopping by. You guys are the best, putting up with me as I go to my cutting my teeth on this thing. So shout out to you, shout out to A-Spread, my sponsor, because without the two of you, this show ain't going down. A-Spread's betting software is the premier white label platform for bookies to manage their players and grow their sportsbook operation. Click the link in the description below to get set up in minutes. Ask for the Curtis promo and get a special introductory discount. All right, clearly, Mostert is older, and he's not as talented. He's not, but he's pretty good at what you saw last year. Injury thing's an issue. We got Wilson here, and he could do some stuff. And then, you got Ahmed and Gaskin. They're the back-end guys. One of those guys might even get cut. You don't know. But then you got A-Chain. You spent a third-round pick. We got Easy last year, third round. Tyndale, third round. Easy, fourth round. This year, we got Cam in the second round. Third round, we got A-Chain. Some of these guys got to contribute this season. And A-Chain is a guy you could have traded for the kid over at Jackson. With Detroit or Jacksonville, one of those guys. Yeah, I think it was Detroit. You chose not to. You could have traded for Cook. You chose not to. You drafted A-Chain. You've got to let this guy play. You've got to make hay with your draft picks. And that's one reason why I think you bring in Cook and you got Mostert and Wilson who are on contracts that they're going to be here. How many reps is this kid going to get? So that's my first rationale why, listen, at this stage, it might have been different before we made that pick. Could have used it someplace else. Let's take a look at Mostert and Cook, 2022. I'm going to show you some stuff because the lines are comparable. The offensive line play is very comparable. So there's portability in the way you can kind of project the way these guys are going to play out. So here you go, Mostert 22 and Cook 22. Attempts 181, 264. Yards 891, 1173. Yards before contact. That's how much the line pushes out the defenders to give you space, 2.8, 2.6. Yards after contact, 2.1, 1.8. Broken tackles. I think it's supposed to be 16 for Mostert. But I got 12 there. I jacked it up. And then 12 for Cook. And then yards per carry average 4.9. And then 4.4. Now catches 31, drops 0 for Mostert. Catches 39, drops 5 for Cook. To me, the passing game is big. And Cook drops the ball. Gets the ball in his hand. He could do some stuff. But right there, he's a little bit of an inconsistency. He's not a great pass blocker either. But what you can see is when you look at this, yards before contact, he got less last year. And, when you reduce it, it kind of exasperates the yards after contact because the more it gets reduced, the bigger guys you see and the harder it is. But 2.8, 2.6, relatively close. But you could see right here, 1.8 and 2.1. Now, when you have broken tackles, Cook hasn't broken tons of tackles since 2020, which was his last big season. I'm going to show you that in a second. So he's a good back, but this offensive line is going to demand broken tackles. It's going to demand a particular kind of running back to be exceptional. So let's take a look at Cook and Mostert, but mostly Mostert's Cook's life history as a running back. Now attempts 1282 to 465. Mostert's had very little carries, even though he's 31. That means a lot, as far as the mileage, although he does get dinged a lot. Cook, though, has got a decent amount of mileage on him. Now, Cook's life stats, 2018, yards before contact, yards after contact, 262. Nice. Broken tackles, 10. 2019, 2.2. The offensive line didn't do it probably because they were dialing in on Cook, 2.4. Very good season for him, 20 broken tackles. 2020, 2.6. The offensive line picked it right back up. He kept going, 33 broken tackles. That's his 1,500-yard season and 13 touchdowns. 2021, the offensive line produced better for him, 1.9 yards after contact, 16 broken tackles. 2022, the line produced again, 2.6, but only 1.8 post-contact with 12 broken tackles. Now, it could pop right back up, but that's a strong trend. Last year, he had the separated shoulder, I believe, so you have to kind of give some, understanding. That's really hard to play through. But still, you had the year before to show you that there's a little bit of an issue that maybe that 2020 season really took a lot of steam out of the kid. Now, I want to take a look at another little stat here, and you'll see Cook's postseason production. I'm going to tie it in to the Dolphins offense. Now, 2019, that was a really good year for him. He had 37 attempts for 112 yards, longer 22, and he had 3 yards per carry. Now, 2019, that was the year that he only had 2.2 yards before contact, so that's not great. So the offensive line was struggling a little bit there. But we'll look into that a little bit more. And then he averaged 3 yards per carry. But this season, well, he did have the messed up shoulder, but he had 15 attempts for 60 yards for 4 yards per carry within a long 11. And we go to 19, you can see the first game, 1.7. And then he had yards after contact, 47. It was 1.7 after contact and 1 broken tackle. And then he was obliterated, 15 carries with 0.3 yards before contact. He had 1.7, so he played really hard. But that was his first prime season. And then 2020, he had 2.7 before contact, and then he had 1.3 after contact and 1 broken tackle. Again, you had the shoulder. But what is that saying as far as the risk-reward ratio? And when you look at the Dolphins line, they're going to give you pretty much what he's seeing. Now, it's a little bit different because the offensive line of the Vikings was getting blitzed all the time. We weren't, and we still only got what we saw against a nickel. And when you see Cook, he can pop it, but so can Mostert. So can A-Chain. And so bringing him in here with this offensive line, and how many carries is he really going to get? Is he going to get that many carries? How many carries are you going to give this guy? Are we really going to commit to the run game? I think if you look at our offensive line, it doesn't make, we're not going to. We didn't bring in the horses to do that. It starts with the offensive line. And so to me, we bring in Cook at a reasonable price. I'll be happy when for this season. I'll be happy. I think he'll do good. But my concern is you're taking touches from a kid you spent a third-round pick on. You got Mostert and Wilson. They're going to be backup. How many touches is he really going to get? And then there's the contract issues. You're bringing him in. He's going to definitely want 2 years. He's going to want to have a decent, it might be 5 or 6 million, but it'll be a lot of guaranteed. And so you give a guy, like, look at Chubb. We traded for Chubb. We brought him in. He didn't have a great season last year. He hasn't had a great season in a while. And you gave him top shelf money. But now you got guys that are looking to get paid. They've paid their dues. And what are they going to get? Are they getting the same treatment? They're going to be asking for it. And this is how you can kind of cause percolations underneath on the team to not take hometown discounts. And this is what I want to tie into the Connor part. Okay, so we got over here, we see that Connor Williams skips minicamp. He skipped the OT. He's like, oh, no big deal. But I had mentioned, my spider sense went off and said, well, maybe they're getting Eichenberg in here to see what happens, so maybe they can move off Connor next season. And little did I know, that this was the case. But it wasn't for next season. They're worried about this season. They're trying to get something prepped. And maybe with these shots fired by Connor missing this minicamp, it's not the end of the world, but he does need he needs to keep practicing these snaps. It does mean that he's looking to get paid. Now you say, oh, well, he's getting 8.7 is what they say this season. But last season and this season, when you see his contract, you realize it's not 8.7 per season. And you have to factor something. They asked him to move to center, and that can be a pay cut. So he was on the rise. He had that tough season, obviously with the 15 penalties, and he came here to reestablish himself. But then he came and played center and played like a top 5 center who still has the ability to play guard. But they're going to ask him to play center now, which is going to kind of drain some of his value. And so he's probably saying, hey, Chubb got paid. All these other guys at guards are getting paid. I'm coming in and I made, when you look at it, $7 a year, and I want my money. At least he's going to say, hey, I'm serious. I'm going to be here come training camp. I think he'll be here training camp. And I think he's going to be here at the start of the season. If not, it's a big problem. Those first 4 weeks, we have to win. And if he holds out for any long period of time, that's bad because this kid's going to get paid, and I'm going to show you. But it's not just him. If you look, you'll see here Williams with a left on his contract. We'll see Zach Sealer will be at mandatory minicamp, but Williams won't. Dolphins might neither. But Sealer didn't show the OTAs, and that's not his MO because he's trying to say, hey, I've outplayed my value. But he didn't miss mandatories, which is great. But he fired a little shot. And then Hunt was asked. Hunt says he's leaving his agents to talk about any contract stuff. So what he's saying is, I'm here to play, but at the end of the year, my contract, my agent's going to talk contracts. And when you look at what the contracts of these guards are making, he's going to get paid too. And so there's a lot of money going out. And I don't really see, Hunt's a guy that should be taken care of because he's been here since the beginning. Sealer, we got him here. We gave him a little bump up, but he's outplayed it. He's been really here for a long time. They consider him a Dolphin. So, Connor's a little bit of the Dallas Cowboy who came here for 1 year, and now he's a young gun. He's not taking a hometown discount. No way, especially when you look at the numbers. So let's open it up here, and you'll see the contracts of the top guards, centers, left guard, right guard, and center. And you can see left guard, he's considered a left guard, Connor. He's making $7 a year average, 7.17. He's right now considered the ninth lowest paid left guard. And if you go look over here, he's paid like the eighth, I think, highest paid center. But look at some of these guys. And if you go over to the right guard spot, he's all the way down below Connor McGovern. I think it's like 10. So this guy, he's got like 18 people above him at the guard position being paid, at least. And he's got about 7 above the center. So what is his numbers going to really be? So you look at Quentin Nelson. You see the orange. These are the guys that are getting paid a ton, sort of younger. And the green shows that they have contracts that have kind of come recently. And so when you look at their numbers, that's the current market value. So Nelson, $20 million. Jenkins, who's not playing as good as Connor, he's making 17. You got Bentinho over there at the Browns. He's old and he's making 16. Laken Tomlinson's making 13 and he's playing terrible. Thune, he's 31, he's making 16. Ben Powers was not as good as Connor. Minus sans the penalties. And neither is Cody Whitehair, and they're making 10 and 13. And so you look at the center position, Mitch Morris is making 9.75, and he's not good. He's old and beat up. McCoy's not as good. He's making 12. Kelly's not as good. He's making 12. Corey Linsley, he's old, but he's making 12. Jensen, he's old. He's making 13. Rangau's playing around what Connor was playing this year. He's making 13. And Kelsey's making 14. But that's a substantial drop to the guard position, and he's made the sacrifice to do that. And you got to factor that in the contracts. Now, the right guard spot, Chris Lindstrom, 26, best in the league. That's $20 million. You're never going to pay. Connor's never that good. I don't think he's ever going to be that good. But Sheriff, he's making 16. He's not that good. Teller, he's not as good. Well, maybe it's maybe a guard, but when you factor the guard center part, he's making 14. Zach Martin's old, he's making 14. Shaquille Mason, he's pretty good, but for something reason, he got shuffled around. He's making 11. Nate Davis is not as good. He's a small fry. He's making 10. And you go down the line here, but these are all contracts you got to factor in to Connor. Connor's going to get paid. A team can say, hey, we'll put you back at guard and give you 15, 16. It's going to be very, very hard to keep Connor. He's going to get paid. He wants to get paid. But the more money we shuffle out to other players and contracts and whatever else, the harder it's going to be to keep these guys. And Connor at center, to also the ability to play guard, is so valuable. We've got to make sure we got money for that to protect too if we keep him. And so Cook is a nice, shiny ornament. And we had all the money in the world and the ability to pay these other guys, I'd say fine. But we've got to take care of this team, build the core to go back into 24 and to be prepared to reboot in 25 and 26. And Connor would be one of those cores. Hunt, what is he going to ask, 15 to 16? It's going to be very, very tough. And to me, Cook is not really the best option when you look for this season. Maybe a little bit, but certainly not 24 and beyond. Anyway, guys, I hope you get the whole gist of it. Going to be happy if he gets here, but if not, I'm fine, and I think you should be too. Curtis saying thanks for stopping by. Catch you next time. Be well. Go Fins. Keep some offensive linemen. Start building your own online sports book today by getting signed up with aceperhead.com service that'll allow you to book action on sports from all around the world.